tuned in to the cold, hard truth. Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips@caymanmarlroad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Magandang araw po mga kababayan, Joy Anglin po. Nabili na po ba ninyo ang dish pack ng Miracle Brokers? Up to 200 pounds kaya pong ilagay dito. Halina po kayo, Christmas na sa Pilipinas, tamang-tama po para sa mga ate at kuya. Halina po kayo dito sa Miracle Brokers. Miski pwede pong ilagay dito sa box, pera lang po ang jowa nyo.
Contact us at 949-5989 or email us at info@miraclebrokers.
Our camera. How is everyone doing? Well, maybe not so fast. Let's see what's going on here. We shall turn it off and on again. I'm trying to remember a little bit of info. There we go. Beautiful morning. Good morning, everyone. Who is that with me? I feel like we're all kind of lazy bones this morning. First Lady Jayanne Allen Hunter, good morning to you, my darling. Let me just see here. Okay. Just trying to locate someone who, a gentleman here actually lost a, I hate when these random people just message you from overseas with like nothing to say. And you're like, okay, can I help you? And they're like, hello, hello, hello. And you're just like, hello, can I help you? Normally they want to be scammers and maybe they're new at their jobs. And so they don't quite know what to do or how to say what they're trying to say. So I've had one of those messaging from a 212 number, plus 212. I don't even know what country that is, but I feel like it's in the Middle East somewhere. And they just continue to message. And I'm just like, what do you want? So I think today is the day that this person gets blocked. Just so many scammers and nuisances out there, let me tell you. So, and then I'm like, who is this? I am Ahmed. And what do you want? All right, so let's hit the block button this morning. These people are so annoying. Okay, let's see who else is here. Mitzi, good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Good to see you. Taylor, beautiful Taylor. Taylor has no picture up, so I can't tell if Taylor is beautiful or not, but maybe Taylor is beautiful. Hello, Janet. How are you? Good morning to you. Appreciate it, Taylor. Shawnee, what's up? Buenos dias to Elizabeth. All right, Taylor, we appreciate the nice words. Would be nice if we could see who you are, Taylor. Olivia Siobhan is here for it. We had an extra long weekend. Did anybody else enjoy the weekend apart from the storm, which we're going to talk about here in a second? That was super interesting. And wow. It created a little bit of havoc here in the Cayman Islands. And guess what? Hurricane season is not over. It seems like this hurricane season is trying to tell us something. And they're coming again for another round. Whoa. So there's that. Thank you so much, Catherine, for watching. Sai is joining us from Fort Lauderdale, I believe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we have Anne-Marie Francis. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Hey, look at who it is. Andre Espute. Andre says, morning, alien. So Andre has this running theory that I'm an alien, and that's why I can keep up with all the different things that I can keep up with. Shall we tell Andre what the secret is? Andre, the secret is I'm not an alien, I'm a woman. And so we have learned to multitask over the years. Sai wants to know what the topics are today. So we have a couple things on the agenda, including we are going to be talking about the tropical storm, upcoming weather systems. We're going to talk about a Brac fight over the weekend, Honduras fundraising efforts, which are well underway, the U.S. election recap, because in the middle of the storm, we actually finally have a new president for the United States of America. And when we're talking about the storm, we're also going to talk about employers behaving badly. So today is Truthful Thursdays or Tuesdays. Whoa, how did I skip 2 days? So we are definitely going to have our plates full this morning. And we're also going to be joined by Mr. DaCosta. So we have Nicholas DaCosta, who will be joining us. And Nick is going to share with us just a little bit of information regarding some fundraising efforts that are happening for Honduras, and he is involved in one of those. So full morning of information, So we will definitely get on here with it in a second. Lots happened this weekend. There was also fatality. There was also a sudden death in our community. So a lot of people are mourning that situation. It's pretty crazy, actually. It's been a very busy last few days. I feel like we have been extremely busy. Yeah. So we're going to talk about all of those things in today's show. Kenneth Bryan has a cleanup underway. A lot of you have lost license plates. There's a joke about that we can discuss here in a second. Savannah Primary School remains closed. So please be minded of that. So if you have a child, hopefully you've already been contacted by the administrators at Savannah Primary about what you need to do. And of course, you can join the conversation, good folks. 324-1612. We are looking at ways to integrate calls a little bit better into the show format so that people can indeed call in, but you can call in now. And we'll make sure that you get on the program. So good morning to Andre Sai. Hopefully that answers your questions. Hello, Brandon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tracy says, I just finished my laundry for the morning. Sunshine is light before the weather changes and hand wash. You have to start very early. And now I can tune in. Thank you, Tracy. We appreciate that. Hand washing laundry. Oh my gosh. I don't miss that ever. Have I ever really had to hand wash laundry? Nothing major. Like, when you're in university, you have a laundry facility, but you might do like your personal garments, like underwear and bra and stuff like that. But yeah, most of the time you're kind of like, I'll go to the laundromat. I'll find some coins or something. But yeah, not everybody, you point out a very good point. Not everyone has access to a washer and dryer. And those of us who do should consider ourselves very fortunate because the weather is something we always have to take into consideration when we do not have access to those things, because gosh, you can't exactly hang out laundry in the rain. That would defeat the purpose of trying to get it dry, right? So let me just see who else. Somebody sent us a message on, what day would that have been? That would have been, when you have a public holiday, all the days start to melt together. But I'm pretty sure that was on Sunday that someone sent a message about a card being found. And now I'm trying to remember who that person was. Wow. So, yeah, there's a couple investigative things that we're chasing out for you guys, so not to worry. So whoever sent that information to me, if you remember who you are, then do let me know, because I'm trying to remember who sent it. I feel like it was someone in my news group. So I should be able to figure out who that person is. But anyway, we'll do that afterwards. Good morning to Irvlin. How are you? I'm Kizzy. The weather was interesting. Let's start talking about it. Hi, Larry. Irvlin says that she felt like she was on a mini vacation. Oh my gosh. So Taylor wants to know about Mario Vibes time. All right. So let's address that. Marshall, good morning. Sophia, Cecile, thank you so much for tuning in. Miss Joy. Yes, Marlon's name is on the card. I'm just trying to remember who messaged me about the card. To say that they had found it. That's the part that I'm trying to remember. Trying trying to remember. It was definitely a guy. Like you remember bits and pieces of a conversation, but can't remember exactly who. All right, we'll try to narrow it down, folks. Okay, so here's the thing. Mario Vibes Time. So he's the guy who was discussed on last week, Thursday's evening show. And if you've not seen it, go check it out. A young lady was sharing some experiences that she has had with him. Other young ladies for many years have said that they have had numerous experiences with him that include assaults, according to them. And in addition to that, over the weekend, I also had people who are overseas and who no longer even live in the Cayman Islands talk about when they first arrived on island, him attempting to recruit them and essentially what happened there. Let me just say that no woman that has contacted us has had anything positive to say about him. We have seen a few, supporters in the live chat who are trying to defend him. What I find interesting about Mario is he wants to blame DJ Vaughn, as most of us know him by. I don't think he's really DJing anymore. He has been focusing on his photography and videography business. And he's actually really gotten into videography. And he's doing amazing work, I must say. Like, I'm always amazed at the quality of what it is that he's doing, right? He's taken his craft very, very seriously. So about 3 years ago, quite ironically enough, Vaughn called out Mario. His name is Mario Blake. So Vaughn did a public post calling him out on social media. And at the time, a lot of people were happy to dismiss that, saying that Vaughn was a hater. Now, I don't know what these young people are into and what causes one to be a hater and that sort of thing. But nonetheless, there was this whole thing with, oh, he's a hater, this, that, and the next thing. And so a lot of people were quick to dismiss it. Maybe Mario's just jealous of him. I mean, maybe Vaughn is just jealous of Mario. I don't know what Mario has that Vaughn would be jealous of. This would be a question for Mario to answer or for Vaughn to answer. And, Vaughn and I have had some conversations about this. And Vaughn, I think, was really surprised at the response of people. He's like, listen, I'm a guy who has no stake in this. And I've had numerous, not one or two, but numerous women come forward and say that they have been assaulted by this man. And, this is what has happened to them. And so I think that somebody needs to start having this conversation. And I said, okay, this is interesting. But at the time, no one was willing to have the conversation. And this really says a lot, I think, about who we are as a country and a community, that quite frankly, we're happy to turn a blind eye to accusations against people. We've seen it numerous times. And so we did this show. The show was off the chain crazy. A lot of people really stepped up to the plate. They started having discussion. Listen, there was almost 1,300 people watching the show. And let me be quite frank with you. The almost 1,300 people who were watching the show were not there for sole entertainment purposes. The vast majority of those individuals, and I know this for a fact, were actually women who had had experiences with him. They were not all vocal, but they, were silently watching the discourse. And there were some who had had experiences who said, you know what? I am not going to allow this man to continue to ignore the conversation or get away with this bad behavior. Not just bad behavior, but if the allegations are true, this behavior would be criminal. Like sexual assault, rape, those things are criminal allegations. And so what I would say is that the police are very keen to speak to any of you, okay, who are willing to come forward and share what has happened to you. The police have a mechanism by which you can get legal redress, because I think in this community, it's obvious that we're all too happy to allow people to do things to us, to harm us, and then to simply continue getting away with it. And when they continue, getting away with it, it only emboldens them more to continue to do it. So the young lady who joined us on Thursday evening, she is a very brave soul, because she has done something. Although she was not sexually assaulted, she found herself in a position where she was very concerned about her safety. And she could have very well been a victim given what transpired. And she came forward and she shared her story. And, it was shocking. I think a lot of people could see that this was a young lady who was actually really smart. She obviously did certain things to collect the evidence that she needed to prove that what she was saying was 100% correct. So he got on the show, and funny enough, I didn't see him when he was on the show. Like, I honestly did not see him. What I saw was other people saying, he's on the show, let him call in. And as I've explained before, I was not going to allow him to call in when an alleged victim was also on the call. If you know anything about the victimology of being victimized, right, and the psychology of it and how this works, that would have been the worst thing that I could have possibly have done. And regardless of what discussions we have in this community, my remit is always, always first and foremost to protect victims. And I don't care what anybody else has to say. That is where my mindset is. And okay, so I've just found out who this is here with the number. Hey, who are these dogs roaming the neighborhood? I've just seen some dogs roaming the neighborhood, probably pooping in my yard. So yes, we were happy to have him on afterwards. We invited him on the show, and unfortunately, he then had a different response. Oh no, he's going to get a lawyer. He's not going to come on the show. So Bruce wants to know, are there actual allegations that have been reported to the police as it relates to Mario? So Bruce, we do know of at least one allegation recently that was a matter of a police investigation. No one seems to know what has happened to that. So one of the things that I'm going to do this week is I'm going to go to the courthouse and try to do a search to see if I can ascertain where that case is, whatever happened to it. A lot of the young girls feel like, and this is one of the things that stops people from coming forward. Number one, the usual things, they're afraid. It's a small community. People are going to judge them. Oh, you're a whore. You're this, you're that. We saw all the victim questions the other day. Well, why would you allow him to give you a ride home? Why weren't your parents there to pick you up? Everything. Like, it's just ridiculous how people want to blame the victims. But in addition to that, we also, in this community, have to deal with persons who are on work permits. So a lot of people have said he purposely picks girls who are here on work permits because then they are double afraid of coming forward because they're going to have their work permits pulled. There's going to be a scandal. The employers are not going to want, a work permit holder to be involved in that sort of situation. There are just too many excuses in this community in particular that allow people to get away with this behavior time and time again. I mean, it's disgusting. to be quite frank. And if a victim does come forward and then other victims see that and they see what that person goes through, like nothing ever becomes of it, or they never hear anything of it, then, you know, the next thing you know, they lose whatever little courage they have to potentially come forward. So what I want to say is, I would encourage victims to contact the police. The police are interested in hearing from you. The police will take every possible step to protect you. They do have a MASH unit now with dedicated professionals that are supposed to know a little bit more about what it is that they're doing than the average police officer. So you don't have to deal with, you know, non-trained officers. The other thing that I would say is that we have a screenshot here of a young lady who actually says that she was raped. And there are numerous of these in circulation quite heavily. This is a young lady who, let me just see if I can find part one of this conversation, who actually says that she was raped and she wanted to get back at him. She wanted vengeance. Folks, the best way for you to get vengeance is to take it to the police. There's no other vengeance out there that would make any sense. Well, I say that, but then I know that one day he's going to really get it from the wrong person. So one person says, hi, are you or someone else putting the messages together and taking legal action? Here's the thing. Everybody's waiting on somebody else to do it. Everyone is waiting on somebody else to make a move. This person says he raped me, but I never said anything until this day. Can you imagine? Blaming myself for putting myself in that situation, even though I said no. He called me why I was refusing, that if I was that type of girl, and called me a slut, etc. So if this is true, if these allegations are true, what I would say is that this guy is very adept at making victims or potential victims feel a particular way, and name calling, you know, wow. After you've allegedly assaulted someone, calling them names, belittling them. And to this day, what is amazing and interesting about this situation is yesterday Mario posted some stuff on his Instagram page, basically blaming Vaughn for all of this and saying that, you know, everything was Vaughn's fault and that Vaughn is an unemployed man and that's why he is upset with him. Let me see if I can find that message because some of you may have missed it. And I just find it so interesting that someone who is being accused of such a serious thing. So he refused to come on the show in the end. He said, no, he wasn't coming on the show. He was going to lawyer up, he claims. And, you know, instead of coming on the show and defending himself, which a lot of people are like, listen, these are very serious allegations. Come on Sandy's show, say what you got to say. He's been taking to social media instead, bragging about how he's gained new social media followers. So this is his response. He says, a next 2017, I forget that you don't have a job. So you have the time, you have time. His writing, can I just tell you, the dude's writing is atrocious. I mean, every single post that he writes, you read it and you go, WTF, like, dude, go to grammar school. So he says, a job, so you have time, the time in the world. More promotion for me. At 613 new followers, keep it going. So he's actually proud. He is proud of the fact that people have made these allegations against him, and this is somehow getting him additional clout and getting him additional followers. Wow. Wow. So this is likely posturing on his part, but nonetheless, you think someone like would be so ashamed that they would listen. If the allegations were not true, I personally would address them head on. If they are true, maybe a lot of people would slither away in the corner and just keep their mouths shut. But this guy decides that he's going to make light of the situation. He never has addressed in any of his social media posts anything that the victims have said or any of the allegations made against him. What he has done instead is focus his attention on Vaughn and decided to castigate Vaughn, and again, to make this all about Vaughn, when it really isn't about Vaughn at all. You know, Vaughn was the person who made the accusation 3 years ago. But Mario, let's be real here. The accusations against you have been made long before Mario, and they continue to be made by women. You know, if you go and you watch that video, there are women on there who are saying, and men, who are like, this is nothing new. We know about this behavior from Mario was in high school. Now, Mario, I think, is in his 30s. So the fact that people would know about this behavior since they said the early 2000s, which is some 20 years ago almost, and this behavior continues to this day, I find to be extremely disturbing. So the only times that Mario have addressed this, he has done so in an effort to attack Vaughn, who he sees as the problem. And I'm trying to find another message that he posted up a couple days ago. I think that was one was on Friday, which is equally as interesting, where basically he said that, let me just see here. Where basically he said that, oh, don't forget your girl used to work for me, or something really cryptic. And I'm like, okay, what is that supposed to mean exactly? Let me just see if I can find it. And again, this was another Instagram post, and people are just like, really, dude? But he just doesn't care. So the update is he doesn't seem to care. At least he's posturing like he doesn't. He has posted about it on numerous times, either joking about it or seeking to dismiss the allegations. And I'm gonna try to and you know, some of you might actually remember Mario because he was in the news. Do you guys remember the cyclist who I'm actually going to send you guys this because people reminded me that Mario has actually been in the news before. Do you remember some years ago, I think it was 2018 maybe, there was a collision on West Bay Road where a cyclist ran into a car that was parked in the shoulder of the road. Do you guys remember that? And the guy who died was actually a really nice guy by all accounts. Everyone was like, you know, he's super nice. I'm just going to show you. So yeah, so the guy was a really nice guy. You know, it was just one of those accidents. So he ended up running into the same Mario guy's parked vehicle. And Mario then took a picture of him under his car and made a flippant comment like, oh, he's just ruined my day. The guy actually died. I mean, it was a fatal collision. And Mario apparently was more concerned about his day being ruined than anything else. Like I said, I don't know if you guys remember this or not. This was just a couple of years ago. And so everyone thought, wow, dude, like seriously? And in fact, at the time, the few of you made some comments about this. Let me just see. There was one that was really touching that I remember. Let me just see if I can find it here. Give me 1 second here. Let me just see if I can find it. Oh, yes. So this was Brad posting on social media about this situation at the time. And Brad said, I still cannot fathom how the driver of the vehicle involved in the fatal collision this morning could see the deceased cyclist curled up under his SUV in blood, proceed to take a picture, upload on Instagram, and have the nerve to put as the caption, "This fool just ran into me." Yes, now I remember quite clearly, right? So it wasn't even a matter of him saying, oh, I've just had a bad day, being dismissive. He actually said, call the deceased a fool, and said that this fool just ran into me. And in addition to that, he, give me 1 second here. He went on to say, and then turn around and delete it, only to post a picture of his vehicle with the bicycle dismantled, laying on the ground, and another caption that said, I will never forget this day. Rest in peace, bro. Just not my day today. I really wonder if he even called 911 for an ambulance. How sad of a person are you really? So this dude posted, Mario posted more than one Instagram post. The first one, I think he started to get some heat for immediately. And as a result of that, he decided to take that one down. And then he posted one that I guess was a little bit better, but not really a whole lot better, where he was like, oh, rest in peace, bro. Just not my day. Like, seriously, dude, a man has just lost his life and it's not your day. Okay, then. The conversation on Thursday had a lot of comments. Someone posted, DJ Vaughn brought this to our attention and we overlooked it. We're sorry, DJ Vaughn. I thought that was very, very interesting. This other person, Luana, says this man has been a pedophile since I was a teenager. And according to others, way before that. I've posted about him before. A well-known DJ in Cayman has posted about him before. That was Vaughn. This is nothing new. The question is, why does he keep getting away if it's been happening so long? But that's the question for a lot of cases in Cayman against women and children. Everyone turns a blind eye to it, even the judicial system. Look at the poor teenage girl who's molested by a grown man and given an STD. What happened to him? Unfortunately, still alive and got a slap on the wrist. And domestic abuse in Cayman is way too high for the amount of people who live on this island. Men walking freely for turning a woman's face inside out. Wow. Some very, very strong comments there from Luana. What I would like to say in terms of this, folks, is the system cannot assist you if you do not come forward. This is one of the things that you really need to understand, right? The system is here for you, but you have to, it's not a perfect system by any means, but you have got to come forward. If you don't report it to the police, if you don't file a police statement, nothing will ever be done. And so the question is, why is it still happening? It's still happening because women are not coming forward. That's why it's still happening. So you've got to do your part. You've got to go to the police and file a report and let people know precisely, let the authorities know precisely what has happened to you. So Sophia says, forcing women, a lot of that going on in Cayman, trying to scare the woman into being silent. It needs to stop. What a woman have on her body is for her. Disrespectful. He not meet the right woman yet. Marshall says, when someone is lawyering up, they're mostly guilty. Well, I mean, he acted like he wanted to come on the show and address it. And that seems like, again, that was just posturing. Sophia says to Hans, like I said, what a woman have known her is for her. No man should force her or anything or anyone, child, into sexual act, no man or woman. Did I miss a comment from Hans? Good morning, Hans. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, so there's a lot of victim blaming that is happening here. Yes, Catherine, that incident was the one by the Kimpton. I'll put the link in the storyline here so that you guys can remember exactly which story it was. But yes, that was the poor guy. Apparently he was very, very fit. He was always out cycling. And I think it was just one of those situations where he was cycling and had his head down and wasn't paying attention until it was too late. And he just literally ran into the vehicle. And the speed at which he was going, I think it was just one of those things where even with a helmet on, he was not going to survive it, unfortunately. And Lizette reminds us that he used to work at Bank of Butterfield. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And I heard that he was a really nice guy. So here's another comment over the weekend from Vibes Time. This is his social media account. And according to him, he's gotten almost 700 new followers. That's interesting because I heard that he was actually dumping followers. I know people who were following him. And he made his account private over the weekend after this situation. And then he started dumping followers where he was basically unfollowing people. So, it's kind of interesting that he now puts up that he was actually gaining so many new followers. I'm like, really? That's interesting. Especially given that you have private your account. Why is your account private all of a sudden? But according to him, he's gotten a lot of new followers. It says this account is now private. So if that's the case, I mean, he seems to be more concerned about his social media status and how many followers he has than anything else. And he says, who is really behind this? The Instagram page too, DJ Vaughn. So someone has set up a page about him called, let me see here now. Is the page still up? But basically it was something like, oh my gosh, what was the name of the page again? But it was like a page essentially calling him out. So he says, who has set up this page? This must be Vaughn. He's blaming everything on Vaughn. It's all Vaughn's fault. And he says, bro, you need to come really, really good. You tried for 3 months straight in 2007. Keep making all your Photoshop screenshots. So he's claiming that these screenshots that people have are doctored. I really do not need to follow this or prove to anyone. Huh. Really? I don't love man, bro. I don't know what that has to do with anything. As you can see, I always with a lot of females. Just remember that your girlfriend was working with me before. Cayman people are not fool. Mario, you better believe Cayman people are not fool. So he deflects in a number of different ways in this post. Again, he puts the blame squarely on Vaughn. And, you know, I am really a bit surprised at that. I'm also a little bit surprised that Vaughn hasn't addressed this issue as well, which I know Vaughn is probably like, this dude is an idiot, you know, whatever. But he claims that Vaughn has gone as far as doctoring photos or screenshots. And I can tell you that that sounds astonishing. And I want to show you guys something that I received over the weekend. So when you think you've seen and heard it all, you continue to get these messages. So this person who is now living abroad sent me this message at 5:14 in the morning. Let me show you guys this one. And she said that, she says, "Hey, Sandra, I just watched your video about Mario. I was in my 20s when I moved to Cayman. Mario offered me a photo shoot. Was my first one. I was super excited. We went in the car to discuss and look at locations. He showed me some of his previous work, and I swear, Sandra, those pictures were so pornographic, I decided not to go through with it." And this we know because Mario himself has, over the years, at least on one occasion, lost his laptop. And with the losing of the laptop, he some photos leaked out. And I don't know if you guys you know, remember this situation or not, but I remember it. And so it's not like the dude has not had these things follow him for many, many years before Vaughn mentioned it 3 years ago. That is not the case. And I'm actually trying to remember. Let me just do a quick search to see if I can find some pictures, because you guys know I save stuff like who? Like what? Let me see how far back I can go though, because some of my archive things are not quite so easy to find. But I do remember these photos being in circulation of young girls. Some of them would have been either underage at the time or very close to being underage. And they were pornographic. And then he claims that he had lost his, I think at the time he was on some other radio station. And he claimed that he had lost his laptop. And that is why I'm trying to see now. Let me see if I can find any of these. I'm trying to go back in some conversations with people that I know I would have had conversations with about this, because they were so shocked. And I was like, oh my God, I know that girl. Why is she in these pictures? And it's like, oh yeah, Mario claims that he lost his laptop. Those were the days before CMR was around, because trust me, we would have been on that story like white on rice. Some serious issues. So Bruce says the allegations are very disturbing. If true, describe an individual that's an experienced sexual predator. It is important for the police to investigate all of the allegations against Mario, as it is not fair to all involved to have these matters outstanding and unresolved. Bruce, I could not agree with you more, but again, there is nothing to investigate if victims do not come forward. And if you are a victim out there listening to this, you know, I am very much aware of the fact that the police were watching Thursday's show and they are keen for victims to come forward. They want to hear from you all because they will deal with this. But if you don't come forward, they can't just go after some random social media posts that they don't even know who to attribute to. So, trust me. You know, this other person says, I'm debating whether or not to send this to you, but I hope something can be done to expose the horrible things that Mario from Vibes Time Models has done to me and many other girls. These are the messages that we have been getting time and time again. But if you don't come forward, what's going to be done? Going back in my phone to 2018, 2017. I mean, messages after messages. Women, help yourselves. Help the police to help you. Karen says we also need to address the statute of limitations in these cases. Most of the time, the victims gain the nerve to come forward and it's too late. In my opinion, Karen, there should be no statute of limitation. And you've seen other jurisdictions do this as it relates to rape, because we know that the psychology of a rape victim means that chances are they will never come forward. Unfortunately. So here's another one going all the way back to 2015. Wow. He posted something back December 2015. Let me see if I can, now this is going way back in my phone. This might be as far back as my phone will go. Let me just see here. I'm just quickly having a read of the messages. Because and this guy has worked with companies. Okay, let me just bring this one up, because this is quite interesting. So someone shared this back in 2015. And this is where I'm going to talk about some of the realities of what we're dealing with, right? So Jason says, good morning, Louie. I don't understand how gloating that you gain followers by using an alleged, by being an alleged known pedophile, sexual predator is something to be proud of. How sick can you be? Well, it's a good question, Jason. I mean, I wouldn't joke about if somebody was making that allegation against me, I would certainly not find it anything to joke about. And if he has actually gained followers, that in and of itself is very disturbing. Maybe people are just wanting to watch the train wreck. I don't know. But I do think that that says a lot about this community if he actually has gained that many followers. People should be unfollowing, not following this dude. Like, seriously. So this was a post that he put out back in 2015. And I remember it because someone sent it to me December of 2015. And he says, Vibes Time, look for models, promo girls, any, hashtag Latin girls that want to work in the Cayman Islands from Panama, Cuba, Dominican Republic, or any other country but Latina. I will do a permit for them. And then tag who you know that want the job. Please let me know. Thank you. So here he was in 2015, specifically looking for Latin girls. There has been some people who have shared some information about that. Why specifically Latin girls? Why permit holders? There are people who believe that they know the logic behind that. So the allegations are not new. The women talking amongst themselves is not new. What would be new, I think, although like I said, I'm pretty sure that police reports have been filed in the past, what has come of them is a totally different question and one that we need to follow up with. Some of the corporate entities that he works with, it has been questioned, such as, Gigisal, Cedric, who's a promoter in his own right. A lot of people are questioning whether or not these individuals will, at the very minimum, take a stand, and if they have any intentions of doing anything in terms of, making a statement. When is Cayman going to have our hashtag #MeToo movement? When are corporate entities going to say, we're not going to work with someone who has this type of reputation? I mean, I think it's amazing that people will try to pull the plug on others because, oh, well, we don't like what they say politically or whatever, but a dude out there has a reputation amongst numerous females for sexually assaulting them, and nothing is done about it. The corporate clients continue to request his services with the girls. So they're keeping him in the very business that he is in, that brings about these opportunities for him to potentially take advantage of people. And to me, that is shocking. That is disturbing. That is like, whoa, WTF, what's really going on here? I'm trying to find some more messages dating back. How far back we can go with Mario. So back in December of 2017, someone sent me a message saying, how can we stop this predator of Mario? And they said, I need that Cayman Mall Road kind of help. And I was like, Mario? Who the heck is Mario? The person replies, Mario Blake, AKA Cayman's biggest rapist. I was like, what? Yep. And then they said, where was it on the site? I'm trying to remember if they sent me anything at the time. So yeah, I mean, like I said, this is nothing new. Nothing new at all. There have been numerous. And then they go on to say, I think there was a video here. Hold on one second. Let me just see something. I'm trying to remember what this video was about. Sometimes you got to see if you can pull back up some of the details of these things. I don't know if I can download this video. This is a 20-second clip. Yes. Okay. I'm pretty sure I can't show this video. You know what? I probably can't show that video because that has him doing something in public with a female and her breasts. And I'd have to see if I could get the breasts covered. But basically, he was there filming it. And that film, I've got the 20 seconds of that. That was happening at Margaritaville. They were having some spring break event. And this person says the worst part is, and this goes back to the point that I was just making about his corporate sponsors, is Ville knows all about him. They've told me stories. And I was like, what? So people know, these companies know, and they still hire his services. This is the problem. I'm like, how is it possible? This is Cayman, corporate Cayman, turning a blind eye and not being supportive of victims. Happens every single day. But boy, are we so blatant with it. So there have been numerous, I wish I could find some more photos here. But there have been numerous messages, and, you know, these girls have really, I don't know if Vaughn actually took down his post from 2017 or not, but if you guys still have it, let me know, because I think he may have shared some of the like screenshots from some of the girls and stuff. I'd have to try to go back and have a look. But it's, when I tell you it is nothing new, I'm telling you it is nothing new. It has been ongoing for a long time. What's going to be done? This person says he is a sick person. Yeah. So, folks, a number of parents have contacted me to say, listen, I've got a young daughter. I want to know who this Mario guy is so that I can protect my daughter. Here's another one that, let me just read it, because I got to pre-read some of these because I don't want to ever, I don't want to ever identify a victim. So let me just pre-read. So here's another one. I'm going to show you guys these two bits and pieces of this chat. Okay, hold on a second. I'm digging in the archives and I'm coming across some screenshots and stuff, just to show you guys and to demonstrate how this is nothing new. To show you guys how long this has really been ongoing for. Okay, hold on one second. I just saw one, but I gotta take out this person's name because I'm sure she would not want her name in here. So we're doing this a little bit on the fly this morning, but you know, we have got to have the discussion, I think. And if we're not having the discussion, then, you know, something's wrong with all of us, quite frankly. Let me just see here. Okay. So there is this comment. I'm just going to screenshot out. This is back in 2018. But like I said, I don't want to show this person's picture. So they messaged, And they said, here we go. This is the first one. And, you know, the comments, I think, say a lot. The comments really say a lot about an individual when they are now being discussed. But this goes way back, you know, way, way back. So give me 1 second. Let me just see where I've just shared this. Here we go. Here we go. So this was one back in 2018. This person says, post and shame the prick. And I was like, Mario, question mark. Yep. And I was like, ugh, I think people must know who he is, taking pics of underage girls. And they're like, that's him. Shame him. So everybody knows that that's him. This person wasn't like, oh my gosh, he does that. They're like, yep, that's him. We all know that that's what he does. And the conversation continues. Hold on. Let me show you the follow-up to this. And then the person says, that's him, shame him, nasty man. And then I say, so we have heard, yuck. He should go to jail for this. Post this picture and let's shame him. His company and everything should be shut down. And we replied that hope that all of the girls know about him by now. But, you know, unfortunately, all of the girls do not know about him by now. They continue to fall victim to him time and time again. So this young lady says she doesn't know anything about him. Okay, here's another one. You know, we might as well just show you guys the stuff that we've been sent over the years, because next he'll be posting that we're unemployed and that we have a beef with him. I don't even know Mario. I could probably pass him the street and have no clue who he is. So this is nothing personal, folks. This is a question about why is this man why does he have all of these allegations trailing behind him and nothing is ever done? Seriously. So, this one says, he's a sick individual. I've been saying it for months, messed up. And then the person replies, beyond sick, he DM'd my daughter, who was only 15, offering to take pictures of her for a portfolio. For my daughter's sake, I didn't blast him all over social media, but I made it very clear that I knew he was an effing pervert and that I would cut his D off and put it in his mouth if he so much as to breathe in her direction. I couldn't tell my brother because he would have crushed his skull. So it appears to me that the behavior has been ongoing for quite some time. But what has been happening, I guess, is the fact that the bad behavior has really been permitted to go on for a long time and has been ignored for a long time as well. So here's another one in the archives that we have here. And I tell you what, I didn't even realize we had so many stored up in our archives. Damn. Here's another one. This one says, I've heard a few people talking about Mario, the guy that the cyclist ran into. It seems he has had a long history of being a predator or young girls, I think they meant of young girls, and taking nude shots and holding them for favors. He is a young ML of our generation. Also, I was made to understand by someone close to the family of the girl that he currently has hired, a promo girl who is underage and working without her parents' consent at club events. I am tired of hearing of all the harassment and incidents young girls have had with him. And I'm only asking you guys to look into it because I feel as long as he gets away with these things, it's a matter of time. So that was another one. That was October of 2018. So there's been a few over the years. I'm sure if I had more time to dig up, we could find some more. Okay, let me hold on. Just seeing if there's any others around that same time period. So it's a long-standing concern. Obviously, there are women in this community who know about it, who are very concerned about it. Unfortunately, it continues to be an issue. And we can only now hope, really. Someone even created this. Let me show you this artwork. Just trying to see what else we got here. About Mario, based on the R. Kelly documentary, you know, Surviving R. Kelly, someone actually did this one. I don't know who did this, but this was done at the time. And then this person says, I don't want to share this because this would require a lot of editing, but this person says, big up yourself, Vaughn. You honestly never know how many people you may have helped by taking the actions you did. You may have opened up someone's eyes or ears that may not have known what danger may have been there for them. And somebody else said, very true. I think that was like a group chat or something. So there have been lots of conversations around this over the years, lots of them. And the discourse just continues. So all I can tell you is if you are a parent out there, you need to be aware. If you are a young lady out there, you need to be aware that there are men in this community who have been able to get away with taking advantage, allegedly, of other young girls. And you are potentially a very easy victim. So you have got to be careful, folks. Protect your children. They are your most precious commodity in this world. Protect your young girls. Protect your women in your lives. Because I think that unfortunately, one of these days he will come across someone who's going to say, okay, enough is enough. You know, and you don't want to go to jail for somebody like this. Like, this isn't the type of person that's worth going to jail for, although some people could certainly mount an argument that says otherwise. So that's where we're at to answer that question. Morna, thank you so much for tuning in. Louis says, those scums need to be locked away for life. Life ballless. I think I missed something there, Louis. Couple days a week, publicly displayed and shamed. Too much of look the other way. Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, we live in a society, says Karen, that will shame the victims and not the villain. And that is another sad fact. Bruce says, if I can remind everyone of the process to report allegations of sexual abuse in a manner that will ensure that their identities are not made public. I suspect that people are not reporting sexual abuse because they fear being exposed publicly. Well, here's the thing, Bruce. we can never, even as media, we can never report on who the victims are, any information that could lead to knowing who the victim is. But Cayman is so small. The second a girl is assaulted over the weekend, I will hear about it. Mario is involved, allegedly, in another assault over the weekend. And by the time the story is told to me, I already know who it is. I'm obviously not going to put any information out there that's going to expose the victim. But this is the Cayman Islands. So people will talk and people will know, right? Her friends are going to know. Maybe she's talked to her friends. Maybe a friend drove her to the airport or the hospital or the police station or whatever. And so automatically people start talking. And this is one of the downsides of living in a small community. But what we need to talk about and what we need to do is to rally around the victims, right? We support you. We are here for you. Tell your story. And so, unfortunately, it's not that they will be exposed publicly, but people in the community who are in the know are still going to know who they are. It is an unfortunate situation because we do live in a small community. It's like, every time a child is molested, I normally know, even when I don't ask, because I don't like to ask who the child is or their connections, I normally know within very short order who it is. And I think, Bruce, despite that, victims have to know that as a community, we will stand with them, for them, by them, and they have got to come forward to stop predators, because predators do not stop of their own volition. And this is what people do not understand. They're not going to stop just because they've even been accused of this. As you can see, there's some alleged predators who think they can boast about it. They can blame other people. Well, let's blame DJ Vaughn for having this discussion. I mean, I think it's amazing that, as a man, Vaughn even decided to say something about this. And then he's the one who gets blamed. He's the one who gets castigated. It's just like, what is wrong with us as a community? And I know it's not everybody who's doing that, but there should be no one who should be saying you are wrong for calling someone's bad behavior out. Marshall says whoever brought him to Cayman must be feeling ashamed of what's going on with Mario. Whatever he's doing here, I'm sure he was doing in Jamaica. Now, I don't know a lot about Mario. I do know he is from Jamaica, but I don't know what age he came here or what the situation was. I kind of get the feeling that he might have been here from high school. So I understand that his mom is here in Cayman. I guess she probably has status and whatever. And I'm sure by now Mario has it as well. But yeah, Louis wants to know, who is he connected to? Sounds serious. And this is another question that I've been asked a lot. People are like, this dude must know somebody in the police force. He must have connections. Like, what is the deal? And Marshall, referring back to the comment earlier, saying she should tell her brother, maybe that's what he needs, is a good ass whooping. Bruce, thank you. Bruce says there are some men that use high pressure tactics against mostly young and vulnerable young ladies to get what they want from them. They convince women to put themselves in compromising situations, and then they guilt them into doing what they want them to do. It spirals down from there. And sometimes, Bruce, they just outright rape them. I think we need to stop sugarcoating it. If a girl says no, then it's rape. And Karen says the people that know and turn a blind eye should be held accountable as well. Well, I tell you what, if an adult knows and turns a blind eye, there's nothing, unfortunately, in the law that makes that an offense. It's unfortunate. If it's a child, then there have been some reporting obligations that have been put in place. And this is one of the things a lot of people don't know. But with my early fights for the sex offender registry, there were other components of that. And one of the things that was in my petition was mandatory reporting of abuse when it comes to child victims. And it was adopted and it was put into the children's law, which took a really long time to finally get passed. But it was eventually passed, and it now includes a provision for mandatory reporting by people like teachers and doctors and all these other people. And this was recent. Can you imagine, up until a couple of years ago, we did not have a legal obligation for professionals, so school teachers, coaches, whatever. If they suspected a case of child abuse, there was nothing in the law that required them to report it. And that was one of the components of my petition. People, you need to wake up. In this country, our laws are so behind the times. But thankfully, it was eventually adopted and it is now in place. And anyone who works with, children-focused organizations, churches, youth groups, after-school programs, whatever, they have an obligation to report it to the authorities if they even suspect that a child is being abused. And if they don't, they can be held legally responsible. Tanisha says everyone will be afraid to come forward because the same people in the community who are going to judge and blame them. And that's the sad part the victims have to live with. And I agree with you, Tanisha, that unfortunately, like I just said, this is a small community. So people, it's near impossible for you to 100% protect a victim's ID. And some victims, if they're from overseas, they will testify and then they will leave the jurisdiction. They never want to be in the Cayman Islands again because Cayman is too small. They could be out to dinner or go to a bar and they're going to run into their assailant. And that's just how small, unfortunately, Cayman is. So there's also those types of concerns. And despite all of that, I still say to victims, nothing will change if you do not come forward. Nothing will change if you do not go to the authorities. The authorities are waiting to hear from you. And if you don't do it, these people will continue to go out there and rape, molest, abuse, take pornographic photos. Someone said to me, well, why not just go confiscate his laptop? Surely they'll see all the underage photos and stuff on his laptop. And I said, well, it's not quite that simple. The police can't just show up at your house and be like, give me your laptop. There has to be a search warrant. And the search warrant has to be based on probable cause. And that has to be based on something. So if they have a complaint, then definitely of underage photos and stuff like that, then maybe doing a search warrant is part of what they can do. Louis wants to know if there's a rape task force in the Cayman Islands, like how they have a drug task force. The answer may shine a light on the situation. So Louis, a couple of years ago, there was an organization set up here in the Cayman Islands called the MASH Unit. And the MASH Unit was set up as a direct result of the RCIPS losing a number of very high profile cases, mostly with child victims. And the judge is saying, listen, this person is going to walk, whether they did it or not, because you let the file sit for too long. And so the evidence disappeared. It was improperly, not reported, but investigated. There have been so many issues as to why this was set up. Now I'm having to look back in my archives because this was before CMR was around. So in April of 2017, the governor officially opens what was called the Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub. And that was done after, like I said, some high-profile cases were lost by the DPP's office and by the police because they did a horrible job investigating them. And so then they set this multi-agency unit with the former governor, Helen Kilpatrick, back in March, April of 2017. Politicians show up for a photo op as usual. Alden is there smiling. Tara Rivers is there smiling. But they don't talk about the disgusting failures that have led up to this. So the MASH unit is now a combination of detectives, social workers, and an HSA psychologist. So the idea is that people should be able to go to a single unit and get all of the support services that they need in order to hopefully get successful convictions and to offer support to victims. So let me just show you some of the photos and stuff that took place back then. So this is relatively recent, in the last 3 years. Let me just see here. And again, you know, the politicians are there for a nice photo op, but boy, are they ever clueless about what is really happening in this community. So give me one quick second here, and I'm going to just have a look at this. So this agency was set up to address failures in the system because they were that bad that the judges were like, what on earth is going on in the Cayman Islands? The judges not only were deciding on cases, but they were saying by way of additional comments that this case was lost because the police screwed up. In one case, the police, this was a child victim. The police actually took the file, an investigator, took the file, put it in a drawer, and forgot all about it. And years passed before he picked it back up again and go, oh, yeah, this child said they were raped. Oh, gee, maybe we should actually do something about it. But by then, too much time had passed, you know, and I keep saying this, that time is of the essence in assault cases in particular. Sometimes even getting the victim's full cooperation, getting corroborating evidence, which is really, really important in these types of cases because a judge cannot go just off of he said, she said. Oftentimes they need some sort of corroboration where they can feel like, okay, I am convicting the right person for this sort of thing. You know, the comment that Luana made earlier about the man who molested a teenager and gave her an STD, that child was not even a teenager. I think the child was 9 years old. But at the time that happened, the man who was working for the Department of Agriculture had another case in the court system with another child that he had actually gotten away with. And this is what I keep telling you guys. That by the time these dudes get caught, it is a situation where they have, you know, been doing this for years. It's not a first-time offense, folks. So here, everybody's there for the ribbon-cutting ceremony. The MASH unit is located in Georgetown. Governor Kilpatrick, she's no longer with us, but she was there to do the ceremonial opening. Alden smiling. I don't know who the woman is between him and Tar Rivers. Oh, the politicians are there smiling for the camera. How many of them are there to support victims? How many of them are there saying to the police even before this, do your jobs? This is all of the members now of the MASH unit. They make up various agencies from DCFS, police, and so on. So I would say, gosh, it's a large enough unit to get the job done. And yet I'm still hearing from victims that I file a report, I make a statement just last week, and no one has contacted me yet. What's going on? Why have months and months passed and I've not heard from anyone? So, you know, one of my ongoing concerns and one of my pet peeves is the lack of the authorities doing a good job with these cases as well, because that in and of itself will deter people from coming forward. So it's great that all of these people are now, but let us not forget that the reason why the MASH unit had to be set up to begin with is because both the police and the DPP's office were losing a number of cases, and the judiciary was being very critical of them for doing so. The judiciary is basically saying, how the hell is this happening? So the idea now is for them to have, quote unquote, international best practices for the MASH unit to significantly improve the sharing of information amongst agencies, because they're all under one central location physically. I don't know if that's helping them much, but that's the idea. And they claim, according to Governor Helen Kilpatrick at the time, to help protect vulnerable children from harm, neglect, and abuse, and that the establishment of the MASH unit is a big step forward towards comprehensive child safeguarding across the islands. So they claim that they have 8 social workers, 8 police officers that make up the MASH unit. And it's the first referral point for safeguarding concerns encountered by police officers, social workers, educators, health workers. And again, with mandated reporting, other professionals and so forth can reach out to the MASH unit to get the ball rolling. But, you still have to go through the RCIPS, their regular reporting, I guess, lines first before you're able to even get to the MASH unit. So you couldn't just walk into the MASH unit and be like, okay, I'm here to make a report. You still have to go through the Child Support Division of DCFS, 949-0290, or the Georgetown Police Station at their regular number. And my concern with that is, if you go to Georgetown Police Station to file a report and you come across the wrong officer who doesn't know what they're doing, that initial point of contact, they could very well put you off to the point where you do not want to continue with the report. Time is of the essence. It's like the first 48 with any crime. Time is very, very important. But in cases like this, I cannot understand why there's always a delay in addressing them. So go back, folks. You can read the articles. You can see what the authorities have said, what the courts have said in terms of how the police have mishandled cases. That's sad, but it is what it is. We got to keep an eye on these people. Got to keep an eye on government agencies, politicians, everybody. All right. We are waiting for Nicholas DaCosta to join us this morning to discuss some fundraising efforts. We do understand that DJ Vaughn will be making a statement addressing these allegations by these continued allegations by Mario. And so we will share that with you guys tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Good morning, Anne. Louis says, is there duplicate facilities for the sister islands? I'm sure it's no less likely there as well. There isn't a MASH unit on the sister islands. They do have, I think, 2 representatives as part of DCFS, like they work with them. I've seen them in court. There's an older lady, I believe, from Texas, and then there's a Caymanian lady who they both work for the Family Services Division there in the Brac. So they're very overworked, I can tell you. I'm glad that you mentioned the sister islands, Louis, because on the Brac in particular, I've heard of some horrendous cases of sexual abuse, of men thinking still, because the Brac in some instances people allege is 25 years behind us in the way that they think socially. I think that's an interesting point. But I have heard of some cases where men just think it's normal to want to have sex with a 12 and 13-year-old child or younger. And there's a lot of abuse that happens on the Brac that people turn a blind eye to. I've had people move back to the Brac who were originally from there, and they're like, I like the fact that it's a little bit more relaxed and carefree, and I feel like my kids are a little bit safer. However, one way in which they are not safer is from child predators, which is very, very prominent on the Brac. Because apparently, this is what people say, and I know we've got Nicholas waiting to join the conversation, so I hate to say this about Brackers, and I'm not trying to disparage them in any way, but people kind of have this thought process that, Brackers are a little bit behind the times and that there's not much to do there. So the 2 things you do is you drink a lot and you molest people's children. That's what people have told me. They're like, there's so little to do here that these are like the national pastimes: drinking, overindulging in alcohol and weed, and then molesting people's children. So I think, Louis, I will ask about that. I don't think there is an actual MASH unit arm in the Brac, but it's a good question. And they only have 1 or 2 police officers. So again, reporting instances of sexual abuse in the Brac or rape is unfortunately not something that happens very often. But we have had some cases recently. There was the Filipino guy who molested a young boy that he'd met playing basketball or something. There was the Tibbetts, is it Tibbetts guy, who drugged a young girl allegedly and raped her, and he pleaded to some charge. Oh, I can't remember what he pleaded to. I'd have to try to see. I don't think his last name was Tibbetts. It was something else. I'd have to try and see if I can pull that one up again. But he had this girl for like almost 24 hours in her family, and the allegation was that he had drugged her and was sexually assaulting her the whole time. And that was on the Brac. So he ended up also cutting somebody's throat. Again, I'm pretty sure he pleaded to lesser offense. And this is, again, what happens. They're able to get away with it. Can't remember his name right off the top of my head. There was also John Michael Soranio, a Filipino national, who was sentenced to 8 years in prison. This is back last year of July. Convicted for raping an acquaintance in West End, Cayman Brac. So there was that one. So there have been a couple of cases in recent years that have come to the attention of the authorities. Now, here's another one. There's a case back in January of this year with DJ Glenn arrested in teen drug rape case. And I just found out recently, the DPP's office have decided not to charge him. Of course, they don't ever give us any explanation for their decisions. But there you have it. So this was September of 2018, 31-year-old Brac man charged with rape. There was this other guy, Okino Nicholas Solomon, who in 2018, he admitted to raping someone. aggravated burglary and theft in a home invasion in Prospect. And he was another one that had been posting all over social media saying that no press is bad press. So he thinks like Mario, and that who cares what people are saying about me? I'm going to continue to look for celebrity status on social media. So if I remember the name of the guy in the Brac, I'll bring it up again, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I think that I want to say that he's not a Tibbetts, but I cannot remember. It'll perhaps come to me. All right. Thank you, Marshall, for those comments. We're going to welcome our guests here in a second. Anne says there's so many good facets in the community that's worth illustrating. Tired of bad vibes topic. Well, Anne, how can you get tired of this topic knowing that women are, Jeff Scott is his name. How can you get tired of hearing about this when you know that the victims are not being vindicated in any way? This is the reality that do you think a victim has the ability to get up and say, oh, I'm tired of having this discussion? When they've been victimized, when they've been raped, when children have been molested, they have to live with that every single day of their lives. And so here he is, Jeff Scott, 22 years old, pled guilty to defiling. And this is another thing that pisses me off, is we use terms like defiling when it should be rape. And it should come with a much higher sentence than defilement. And so in October, he pled guilty, October of last year, to defiling a teen after drugging her. He ended up admitting it. And again, this was one of those cases where at the time, we posted it up and there are people defending this dude. Oh, well, that's not what happened, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, you people need to get it together. Seriously. Okay, Patty, let's, Anne clarifies that she's just saying she wished it would end. Well, it's never going to end if we as advocates and victims do not come forward and start to say, what's going on and to hold these men accountable. All right, Nicholas is here waiting to join the conversation. So Patty, you'll be happy to know that Nicholas wants to talk about some relief efforts for the people in Honduras. Good morning, Nicholas.
Good morning, Sandy. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Awesome. So, Nicholas, you are a member of the Lions Club of Cayman Brac.
Cayman Brac, yes.
Yes. Thank you. So, of course, we know that Hurricane Eta did a number on Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, some of the other countries in that area. And I think Honduras might have did they get the worst of it, you think?
I mean, I guess it's hard for me to say. I just know that us being here in Cayman, we know a lot of people in Honduras who were affected. Mm-hmm. And right. At that time, I mean, from what I can see and what everyone can see, Honduras, especially the San Pedro area, was heavily affected by the rains, by the flooding. Some people lost everything, houses completely underwater. So wow. I think because we have such a close relationship to them, that is why we are particularly seeking assistance for them.
Right. Okay. So inform us then of what your organization is doing. Now, I have heard of a lot of like smaller groups trying to say, well, how can we help? There was an organization yesterday that was actually meeting at Salty's that was also looking for, how they can get together and galvanize some efforts. I think one of the concerns with everyone trying to do something is sometimes nothing ever gets done. Mm-hmm. And if you try to get it done, there's a question of, do the right people get the assistance that they need? So Let's break it down and discuss what your organization specifically is doing and how people can help.
So all the Lions Club of Kim and Brac is doing is acting as a conduit. I had the happenstance opportunity to buck into a friend of mine on Friday, and he is from Honduras. And he told me, he was trying to work with a friend from San Pedro to get some relief items back to Honduras. And I said, oh, well, let me see what I can do. I'm a member of the club in Kim and Brac. Let me see if I can get some items and give it to you. So that's how it started. The Lions Club of Kim and Brac was just collecting items from the community to then gift to someone who was already established and organizing an effort to send the items there. Since Friday, this has actually grown to where so many people in Grand Cayman wanted to assist. So I had to try and find a way to make that happen. So in Grand Cayman now, we've teamed up with hide agencies for hide shipping and also the Little Friends Foundation in Rotan. Hide agencies has donated 2 shipping containers and the shipping to Rotan. Little Friends Foundation in Rotan and the Galaxy, the ferry company, they are shipping the items to La Ceiba. And then from La Ceiba, we are distributing it from there to San Pedro, to La Lima, and to the areas that are most affected. But before we are sending it, we're vetting the people that it's going to, making sure that we speak to people from Honduras that have, experience dealing with them to know the safest way to get the items to those who need it and to ensure that those who are receiving it will actually distribute it. Because like you said, we find that a lot, that either the items don't leave Cayman at all or they sit somewhere in a distribution center once they arrive to the country. Or the people who receive it keep it for themselves, keep the better things for themselves, and may not help those who actually need it. So we're trying to make sure all of that is in place. I'm
glad that you mentioned that part, Nick, because one of the concerns that was brought to our attention, even with previous storms, is that unfortunately the government, and I don't know how you stop the governments from doing this, but a lot of times government officials themselves or whoever would be the point of entry for these items, they end up commandeering them and taking them for their friends or family members or whatever, and that the people who are most in need do not get the assistance that they need. So the question that then I have in the back of my mind is, how do you, I know you said you're trying to work with specific organizations in Honduras, but how do you guarantee or try to guarantee that there is a sense of equitable distribution then of the goods that are heading to Honduras?
By faith.
Wow.
There is always a risk with sending items as a donation to another country. And all we can do is just hope that the people that are receiving them are distributing them the way they're supposed to. We know the risk of government. We are trying our best to file the correct paperwork with them to ensure that there's no duties assessed on the items, to ensure that there are no backroom deals that are taken off the dock or anything. We're just trying to make sure that everything is done properly. That's why we aren't rushing to immediately send these things off. We will be collecting over the next 2 weeks. The shipment is leaving on the 27th of November. So we're completing a full inventory of all the items. We are filing all the correct paperwork with the Honduras government to ensure that the charity that receives them has no issues holding the items and distributing them where they need to go. But it's mostly by faith, as I said, because we are here. We cannot guarantee the outcome once it arrives there.
Right. That's sad, because unfortunately we know that these things do happen, and that probably, the people that do need it the most will not be the government workers necessarily at the top of the chain, the food chain, will not be well connected. And they're more than likely the ones who will not always get the help that they need. So we do have some other people with strong Honduras connections who will be joining us. Honduras is a country that unfortunately has a reputation for not always, like, the government doesn't always follow the rules. They don't always do things in a fair manner. But I guess just the act of getting some goods there hopefully will have a trickle down impact.
Yeah.
And so, some people their need will get. So what sort of goods then are you trying to get together?
So we're basically just trying to get the immediate necessities, non-perishable foods. And when we donate non-perishable foods, we forget that they need can openers to open them. So if you are donating any kind of non-perishable foods, we ask that you include a can opener, just one that can be used either in the villages where they're opening food to feed people or to actually give to a family. And then just the essentials like waters, blankets, baby and infant clothing is an immediate need that I've heard from several groups that people actually need. The baby and infant clothing, adult clothing, personal hygiene products for male and females, and then dog food. We often forget our animals and our pets that are part of our family.
Yeah.
But we've seen a lot of videos where dogs are stranded as well, and their owners, their families are trying to hold them up and stuff, but they don't have food themselves.
Right.
So we also need to remember that. So if we can spare any of that, it would be good.
Wow. Yes. Good morning to Nora. Good morning, Patty. Patty says, thank you, Mr. DaCosta. God bless you. Amanda shares that the best place over there to collect and distribute items can be churches.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's a great idea.
We are looking at, like I said, we have a lot of options. We're just vetting them and speaking to people here and there to know whether or not they're the best and safest places. So we are looking at different churches, different charities. I know that the Rotary Club here is in contact with the Rotary Club of La Ceiba, and they're organizing a joint effort to get stuff there and then have the Rotary Club distribute it where needed. I spoke with them this morning, so I know that is their plan.
Right. Good. Okay.
If I may, I see Karen just asked where the distribution centers in Grand Cayman. There are several collection points in Grand Cayman for different groups. I know that I'm positive that every group that's collecting will end up in Honduras at some place in Honduras, and most of it will end up in the hands that need it. However, in the shipment that I am dealing with personally, the points, we will have a container at Harbor House Marina, right at the entrance. We will have a container at Puritan Cleaners on Eastern Avenue. And then I will be collecting it, whether that is by picking it up from people or at my office on West Bay Road at the Commonwealth.
Okay. So Karen, hopefully you heard those points of drop off. And Nick, send us, I think you had a flyer up as well. We did post something in an article a couple days ago. Yep. So folks, you can check obviously their Facebook or social media pages. We've got a flyer and an article that we did, and there are other smaller organizations that are also working together to try to collect goods. I think the most important thing is for it to obviously be well organized, for people to know what to donate, because you don't want to, one of the big things that we have seen, we've talked about this before, after a national disaster, a lot of times people end up sending things that are of no use to the people who actually need it. And then that creates another, what they call a secondary disaster, because all of these goods end up in their neighborhood landfills, just thrown all over the place, garbage. Some of them get stuck at airports. So you have to be very sensible about sending the items that people actually need.
Exactly.
So going through your closet and picking out your high heel shoes that you haven't worn in 5 years is not the kind of thing that we want to be sending to Honduras at this particular time. That's of no use to anyone.
Or all your best Sunday church dresses, they're not needed right now.
Right. Yeah. So I'm glad that Nicholas reminded us, if you're sending canned goods, attach a can opener, because I hadn't even thought of that, because they have nothing. They have no way of opening the canned goods. So if every person sends a can opener, then they can keep that sort of in like smaller neighborhoods and villages so that people can have that to use. Any idea, Nick, of the death toll? I know that last week for like Guatemala, they were saying about 100. Let me just see if I can pull up anything here. The interesting thing about this is probably the most devastating storm for that area that we can recall is Hurricane Mitch. which was, I think, in the late 90s, but Hurricane Mitch claimed like over 9,000 lives. This wasn't as bad as that in terms of the death toll, but it seems to have been equally or even more devastating in terms of like the flooding that has happened in the region and the destruction of people's properties and everything that they have. So according to some reports here, it looks like the death toll in Honduras is around 57 persons as a result of Storm Eta. And, they did have some mudslides and stuff as well. So it's entirely possible that not everyone has yet been counted or accounted for.
Yeah.
But that has been the death toll. 10 hours ago, there's a news report that it had doubled, with authorities on Monday being able to find additional bodies. So very sad situation in Honduras. I see some pictures here of people just trying to work through the mud, so even if their homes were not completely destroyed or buried, they're still having to deal with a lot of the aftermath of just cleaning up the situation.
Exactly. And I mean, 57 deaths, that may seem like a small number compared to other disasters, but one death is detrimental and devastating. And I think not only the deaths, but there are thousands of people, like you said, who lost their homes, who lost everything. And those people are going to be struggling and continuing to pushing to survive through this disaster. It may have not brought death, but there are tons of disasters. And as Nora just said, every day is more and more deaths. They're finding more and more because, like you said, the landslides, the mudslides, that will hide a lot of the death that happened.
Right. Wow. Really sad situation, but I think the focus now has to be on how we can help. There's some relief efforts, again, folks, that are underway. We have another group of persons who will hopefully join us this evening at 7 p.m. And they're going to share with us some of their efforts and what they're attempting to do and how they will be collecting goods and how you can assist with trying to assist the people who need it the most in Honduras. So Nicholas, thank you so much. Do you have any contact details if someone wants to reach out to you or make contact with your organization? How's the best way for them to do that?
Yep. So I post all of the flyers, all of the details on my Facebook page. Most of those posts are public, so you don't need to be my friend to see that. I'm on there, Nicholas DaCosta. My number is quite public, but I'll give it out here. It's 938-0608. Anybody can contact me, text me, or call me with questions, or if you have advice for me. This is my first time organizing this effort, this kind of effort to Honduras. I'm working with experienced people. This is my first time. So you have any advice, any organizations that you recommend, please give us a call. I see that Amanda has recommended the United Pentecostal Church. So I'm sure that we'll be in contact with Amanda.
Okay. So people are saying, Nicholas, we need a container urgently. Any of the shipping companies able to assist with containers?
If it's a container to ship stuff over, I'm not sure if they're able to give more. Like we've discussed, there are several smaller groups organizing efforts and shipping through different means. Miracle Brokers, I know, is working with a group to ship stuff over. Cayman Airways is accepting some cargo for their 19th of November flight to Los Ceibo. Hyde Shipping and Hyde agencies here in Grand Cayman have donated 2 containers and the shipping costs to Honduras for us. So if anyone wants to donate into our containers, we have the space. So I'm not sure if they would be able to contact them and request another container, but we have space in our containers.
Okay. All right, folks. So I think the most important thing right now is to not duplicate efforts. I haven't heard anything from the Cayman Islands Red Cross in terms of if they are available in any relief efforts. But obviously, the Red Cross is a worldwide organization that has a lot of connections in different countries. Normally there's a Red Cross sort of body in each of these countries that will then help and serve as an access point for information, for accurate information, for good distribution lines to make sure that people get the supplies. So I will reach out to the Cayman Islands Red Cross as well I haven't heard anything official from them, but just to see if they are organizing any sorts of efforts. Because one of the biggest things I find that happens a lot is that people tend to all want to do something. It's great that people want to help, but they're duplicating efforts. And so they're not always as efficient as they could be. And they're not always, as a result of that, really, really, helping the people to get the help that they need. So let's try to work together on this. There's no need to duplicate efforts. Everyone appreciates that the need is urgent and it is there. But the best thing to do is to have a well-oiled process by which to help persons. So I'm glad that Nicholas mentioned Cayman Airways is going to be, sending some stuff down on the flight on the 19th. Of course, a plane can only take so much in terms of load. So we'll have to find out is that going to be just a cargo flight, or is that a combination of cargo and people, which means that they can take less supplies. But
it is definitely a combination, because it is first a repatriation flight. That is their main goal for the flight, because there's only one flight to La Ceiba a month. So if they have space, they will take the cargo.
Right. Okay. All right. I gotcha. All right. Nick, thank you so much for that information. Someone said the Red Cross is asking for monetary donations. And I think I know why, because they have done that in the past, because it's actually easier, they have said, for them to go into countries with the necessary funds and purchase items available in the country, as opposed to people just sending them stuff that then they have to sort through and what to keep and what not to keep. And again, there's this whole concern about people creating the second disaster of sending goods that are unneeded, that will never reach the intended, victims of a natural disaster, and that end up creating just a worse situation. And the last thing you need, folks, is for donated goods to be strewn all over the place in Honduras. That's not what we want.
Exactly.
So the Red Cross tends to use their money for medical supplies, which is very, very important because at a time like this, secondary things will happen, outbreaks of like cholera and, other types of diseases, because of the conditions that people are having to live in. And so I know the Red Cross is really keen to try to work on relief efforts that focus on those things as well. So again, Nora is providing some contact information. Nora, Nick has just provided his number, so perhaps liaise with him so that you guys can all be on the same page with this. Nick, thank you so much for spearheading this effort through the Lions Club of Cayman Brac. Yep. And folks, if you live in the Brac and you're not a club member, perhaps this is a time to contact them about membership, because more hands on deck can mean that they can accomplish so much more.
That is true.
Are you the president of the Lions Club of Cayman Brac?
No, I was the president 3 years ago.
Okay.
But the president now is also on the flyer, Dion Smith. She's the president this year.
Okay. And Joshua is reminding us that people in the Brac can drop off goods to Billy's Supermarket or L&M Superstore. Yep. Those are 2 drop-off locations currently for the Brac Lions Club. So
thank you, Josh.
So people in Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, Grand Cayman, everyone can really get together and try to help our friends and family in Honduras. I don't know if anyone's specifically doing anything from Guatemala, because I know that they were also impacted. And in fact, quite ironically, Guatemala, I think, has more deaths than Honduras, which is interesting. But I think it was just the way that the storm kind of turned. Panama has been impacted by this, Mexico, and some other areas as well. So a lot of people are suffering around the world. We've got people in Jamaica. I mean, oh my gosh, it has been crazy in Jamaica with the flooding and the landslides, and it's just 2020. I don't know what else to say at this point.
That's the only explanation we have.
I know, trust me. So Amanda says that Pastor Clark from the All Nations Church is going to reach out to you from Honduras. Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Mercy says we are ready to assist. So yes, this is wonderful. It sounds like a lot of people are ready to get on board with this. So folks, contact Nicholas. Nicholas, give us your number once more.
So the number is 938-0608. I have Mercy's number already. We've spoken, so I will give her a call as soon as the show is over.
Okay. Awesome.
Yep.
All right. Sounds good. So folks, it is Tuesday. Nicholas, thank you again. And we'll keep in touch with you to see how the relief efforts are going.
Sure.
Please keep us updated if anything happens. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Take care.
Awesome. Thank you. So folks, just a reminder that today is Tuesday, which means that we have an evening show this evening as well. So we will take the evening show to dedicate that to some other organizations who wish to come on and talk about their relief efforts for Honduras also. So 7 p.m. right here, you guys know how to find us, YouTube, Facebook, we're on the website. We will also put this up as a podcast. So perhaps there are people who are listening to this show afterwards. We do have persons in the States and all over the world who actually tune into the podcast, and they quite enjoy listening to the podcast of our show. So we would encourage you to please assist in any way that you can. The most important thing at this particular time is trying to get the help for the people who need it the most, right? We've had criticisms of the government who said, listen, people have attempted to help in the past, and unfortunately, the people who needed it never got it. Government workers, government officials, they're dipping their hands in this, and that is perhaps the most tragic situation when a national disaster like this is occurring. But Nora is working behind the scenes. Okay. Yes, so Mercy is on it. Nora, they're part of the same group. And I think that, we'll have a discussion and chat with them as well. So big shout out to everyone who is doing their part. Amanda, Patty, everyone is trying to help the people in Honduras to, help them to survive this situation. Folks, we are our brother's keeper, and we have to do everything that we can to help people. Now, I know that over the weekend, I just wanted to briefly address this one bit of contention. On Saturday, we posted a picture, it was a video actually, of a little rat hanging on to a slipper. And the caption in the video actually said something about surviving in Windsor Park or something like that. So it was a little bit tongue-in-cheek. In the moment, we thought it was funny, and we posted up. And some people are very quick to say, actually, that picture is not from Windsor Park. It's from Honduras. And I was like, oh, okay. So I don't know who, I hadn't seen it before. So I don't know who got the video, but they sent it to us on Saturday, and it had, that it was Windsor Park. So we had a lot of flooding in Windsor Park over the weekend as a result of Hurricane Eta. So it wasn't unheard of that this could not have been Windsor Park. I mean, there was fish, there was tarpon in Windsor Park. People are actually catching fish. So once we were made aware of the fact that it was actually Honduras, we corrected it and said, I think the original post said Ratatouille or whatever in Windsor Park. And people are like, nope, that's not Windsor Park. So for the sake of accuracy, we changed it. We corrected it to, okay, it's actually Honduras. Some people thought that we were being insensitive, that we were making fun of people in Honduras, and we were making light of the plight in Honduras. And I want you guys to know that that was never the case. It was posted because, in fact, we thought it was right here in the Cayman Islands, where we have not sustained we've had some property damage, but nothing compared to what's happening in Honduras. And it was only corrected because, especially on Instagram, people are like, that is not Windsor Park. And so it was more about trying to be accurate, and it wasn't us trying to be insensitive in any way, shape, or form. Once we explained it, I think some people obviously got it and they understood what had transpired. Other people were very much in their feelings about the situation. And of course, they like to delve into personal attacks on people who are part of the CMR team. And that was unfortunate. So I just wanted to briefly address that. I'm not going to belabor it because, I think that everyone knows that we wouldn't lie about a situation like that. So Nora says, our help is not going to any government institution. It's going direct to the shelters and the people who needs it the most. Hopefully, because of course there is the sort of underlying concern that government has to clear the goods, and can the Honduras government actually stop or confiscate goods at the point of entry, at the point of clearance. I don't know. You guys from Honduras will have to let me know exactly how that works. But we can discuss it later on in the evening. And Nora, Mercy, please tune in this evening. If you guys want to come on and have a chat on the show, let me know, and I'll send you an invite. That can assist with this, and let's just make sure that the people are getting the help that they need. Folks, have a beautiful day. Be super productive. I finally see quite a bit of sunshine out and about. It was a super rainy day yesterday, so hopefully you can get out there and do things that you do. Schools are open, as you will know, but slow down in the traffic, folks. Savannah Primary continues to be under repair. We'll shoot by there later on and see how it's going. They were working hard yesterday, though. I did see a number of people out and about, from like the Logic people to, Public Works and others, trying to get the school back ready. Have a good one, folks.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.